Trying to remember my secretary duties here.
Okay, mics are on and we're ready.
Ready? Are we ready now? Thank you for attending another evening of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I have, when they launch a ship, they always take a bottle of champagne and crack it over the ship. Well, this is a launching for us because this will be the first zoning board meeting where we have been under the new revised, better, finally passed zoning code of appeals. So this is going to be our new Bible that we're going to be going from. And it's an interesting story, and a lot of people deserve a thank you. Some 10 years ago, 16 individuals got together with this plan, and under the direction of the planning director and then Mayor Dick Edwards, to figure out an improvement plan for the city of Bowling Green. And now this, 10 years later, we got this. So it's not a rushed project, as you can see. It took 10 years to go from here to here. A lot of thanks goes to, a tremendous amount of thanks goes to the planning department and our planning director, Heather, and her people, but to the city administration, who's been so helpful and so positive in it, and to city council for finally getting together and passing it and making all the adjustments that needed to be made. And most of all, to the citizens of Bowling Green who came and testified again and again. So this is truly an outpouring of a lot of people's thoughts and ideas on how we can improve on our city. And I think it reflects that Bowling Green is truly a cosmopolitan area that listens to people and tries to serve people. So congratulations to everybody who finally got this to here, and to my board members here. This is exciting. We have a new code that we're following now. And with that new code, we got a new sheet for you that you filled out to request your variance. And thank you, Heather, for that. It's a very good sheet. And now I'll tell you how this zoning board's going to work. We have 2 requests for variances tonight. You are asking us to take an existing zoning rule and change it because of a particular difficulty that you might have in complying with the existing zoning rule. So that's one of the things we're going to ask you to tell us is what is the particular difficulty you have with the new zoning rule. I will also, as a word of caution, as you hire contractors or people to do work for you, please ask them if they're familiar with the new zoning code because there are changes in this old one. So people may not be aware that there will be some changes coming. We will then ask you, I will read your request for variance. I will ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and explain to the board what your particular hardship is if you were not granted this variance. The board will then ask you questions. We will ask if there's anybody in the audience who wants to come and make any statement according either for or against your request for your variance. We will then close the public hearing, and that just means we're not going to take questions from the audience, but we'll discuss it among ourselves, and then we'll come back into public hearing. We will vote, and you will know before you leave tonight whether or not your request for your variance was granted. If it is not granted, you have the option of going to the Court of Common Pleas and requesting that it's granted. Okay? Now, if you're going to be testifying tonight, please stand so you can be sworn in. This is a quasi-legal proceedings. The court reporter will be transcribing this off of the Zoom, off of the recording on it. So please raise your right hand. You need to do that too. All right, anybody else going to speak? Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You're now officially sworn in. Gentlemen, we have the minutes from the June 14th meeting. May I have a motion for approval or change?
So moved.
Second? Motion was made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion, minutes are approved as mailed. We have one change in the variance. Instead of Lane, Sarah Chambers is going to be on behalf of Black Swamp Players, who has requested a variance to allow the use of an 8-foot by 12-foot 96 square feet wall sign at 115 Easy Oak Street, which would exceed the maximum allowable sign size of 77.4 square feet in the CB, which is the Central Business District. Ms. Chambers, would you like to come to the podium and state your name and address and then explain?
Madam Chairwoman, would you like me to do my presentation first?
Oh, yes. I'm
I know
sorry.
it's been a while. That's okay.
It has
I
been
know.
a while.
And we're
the
in a new
city,
space.
The city
and-
is going to tell us what the existing zoning law is that you're asking us would you need to have changed, and then you can come to and then you can come and explain. Heather, sorry.
Thank you. No, you're fine.
I was so full of compliments for you that
Well, I can't deny those. Thank you. I appreciate it. So under section 150.84, the sign regulations, we have a table now. So that's a little bit different than our last layout of the zoning code. We have the central business zoning, and then we have a list of the signs permitted, and then the maximum number of signs, and then we have the stipulation of a maximum sign area per individual sign, and that's where we get the maximum size. So based on the zoning, you're allowed to have 90 square feet maximum, or the width of the building front times 1.4 plus 20 square feet, whichever is less. So in this case, we took the width of the building and did that calculation, and that's where we got what you probably noticed is kind of a strange number, the 77.4 square feet, but that applies since that is less than the 90. So I wanted to make sure you knew that. And I should mention, as far as the sign sizes, it's actually the same in the new code as it was in the old code. So I thought that was kind of a good thing to point out. So here's an aerial view of the property showing the actual building. They do own 3 parcels there. Using pictometry, you can see a front view of the building, looking at one of the sides, the other side of the property, and then the rear. The next one is a picture of the front of the building. So you can see they already have a wall sign there that says the Black Swamp Players that they got a permit for already. And that was back in early August that we did approve, along with a sign on the door that is fairly small. I think it's 3.7 square feet. And just want to point those out that those are the 2 existing signs. So here is the sketch that was part of your packet and attached to the application. So you'll see we had the sign 1 labeled on the door, sign 2 is the Black Swamp Players, and then sign 3 as the 96 square feet sign that they would like to keep. So they don't have any issues with the number of signs. The 3 is the maximum allowed. We did receive one email from one of the adjoining property owners, and I gave you copies at your seat, so I will read that into the record. The email is addressed to me, and it's from Nate Spittler. It was received on Thursday, August 31st, 2023 at 1:24 p.m. The subject, Black Swamp Players variance request. The actual email reads as follows. Heather, on behalf of Spittler Properties, we have absolutely no objections to the variance request submitted by Lane Hackle on behalf of Black Swamp Players for their signage at 115 East Oak Street. Thank you, Nathaniel E. Spittler, Spittler Huffman, and then it lists the phone number and an address of 131 East Court Street in Bowling Green. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the Administrative Code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first-class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedural requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. Thank you. And in case you're wondering, we have what's on the screen right here in front of us. We're not watching cartoons or something. Yeah, we weren't paying any attention. Would you like to come forward now? And state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Sarah Chambers. I live at 213 Haskins Road.
Okay. And you want to tell us what particular difficulties you see if this variance is not granted for the Black Swamp Players?
Yes. Our case is that the Black Swamp Players has been a member of the Bowling Green community for the past 55 years. Over the course of those 55 years, Black Swamp Players has produced over 400 productions featuring thousands of volunteer actors, directors, set builders, lighting designers, costumers, and stage crew members from our community. We are the only nonprofit arts organization in Bowling Green with its own permanent structure. Despite our presence here for 55 years, we frequently hear from members of the community that they've never heard of our organization. In the past, the most effective method of marketing our performances has been through stories written in the Sentinel Tribune, and we also have a long record of buying advertising from them. This due to the limited circulation of print papers is not had the return that we might hope and has not proved to be effective marketing. We're also working on social media for our marketing, but this leaves out still a lot of people who do not use social media. We are asking for the variance to be granted due to our unique position in the community as an arts organization that has been here for a very long time, and that we have a need to be able to sell tickets to ensure our continued presence in the community. We are working to increase attendance at shows as our current attendance levels are not providing enough of a return to sustain the organization. We believe that a banner such as that requested in the variance will be a valuable tool to increase visibility of the Black Swamp Players and contribute to sustaining our continuing ability to contribute to the community and increase the arts profile of the community.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the board? I have a question. Is this going to be on a changing banner?
It would be
Or is
changing
the-
each season because we do different shows every year.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions or comments?
I'm familiar with your organization. First, thanks for what you do to help make Bowling Green a better place. I think it's great. I was pleased to see that the sign is not up.
Yes, we
So
took
many
it down.
times people come and
Yes.
ask forgiveness rather than permission, so that's a good thing. With the new zoning code now, we have 7 criteria, I guess, if you will, that we look at to consider. And in my review of that, it seems to me that you check all the boxes. I think primarily it's the fact that you're in the central business district, given the complexion of the neighborhood, if you will. I don't see this as being an impact on the neighborhood, and the fact that you didn't have anyone object to the sign, and in fact had a letter of support for the sign, to me, makes it a pretty easy case.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Hearing none, you may go sit down if you want to. Is there anyone
Thank
in the
you.
audience who wishes to address this request? All right, members of the board, pleasure? Boy, you're a quiet group. Okay, I'm going to bring it back into the public hearing, and may I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Will the secretary call the roll, please?
Julianis?
I'm sorry, who did?
You.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hobie Johnson?
Yes.
Rod Noble?
Yes.
Chris Ostrowski?
Yes.
David Flager?
Later. Yes.
And Jay Sockman? Yes.
Your request for your variance was granted. Thank you. And then you can, in the morning, you can go to the planning department office and get the necessary paperwork you need to have on file, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. The second request for variance is Mike and Tracy Brownell, 516 McKinley Drive, have requested a variance to allow the expansion of the existing driveway, expanded an additional 14 feet to the north, which would encroach 3 feet into the 3-foot setback to the side property line to the north, and is greater than the maximum driveway width allowed, exceeds the width of the garage. Heather?
Yes, thank you. So under the zoning code, section 150.72, off-street parking, letter A, location of off-street parking. Number 3, where serving a 1-unit or 2-unit dwelling use, a driveway may not exceed a width of 10 feet or the width of a garage to which it leads, whichever is greater. And number 4 states, all driveways must be set back from all side and rear lot lines by at least 3 feet, except where a driveway adjoins a driveway of an adjacent lot. The area contained within the setback may not be paved. I also put a picture from the zoning code that basically shows, what's not allowed and then what is allowed. So I was hoping that kind of helps stick that in there. But this is a very new regulation compared to the old code, and you probably, gathered that by your experience being on the zoning board. The 3 feet minimum setback is the same, but the parking in the front is what is different, and again, having a maximum driveway width. Here's an aerial view of the property. It's a corner lot, obviously there, with and Guston on the other frontage. Using pictometry, here's looking from Guston at the property. And then here's another view. This would be the rear of the property. This would be the front of the property. So you can kind of see there was some, I guess we'll call it white stone, for lack of better terminology there, that they had paved over in that area. And then here's a view of the side of the property. And then here's a picture of the front of the property as you drive down McKinley. And then here is looking from Guston. Another view angled right at the corner of the intersection there towards the house. And then here's a view of the front of the house, and it does show that extension there from the existing driveway. And then here's the sketch that was part of your packet that we tried to highlight there, that expansion. And then I tried to give you some background on this one with a memo that I can highlight here for the meeting. So this is dated August 28th, 2023 for your packet regarding 516 McKinley Drive. This is background information in regards to the request for the expansion of the driveway at 516 McKinley Drive, which has already been completed. On August 11th of this year, Travis Farabee, he's a project inspector in Public Works, discovered the driveway expansion being finished at this address, and he did see the contractor outside and let him know a permit was required from the city. And then when he came back to the office later on, he let the planning department know by an email with a picture of the driveway at the location, and that it appeared it was widened. Then on August 11th, that same day, K&K, the contractor, came into the planning department and applied for the driveway permit. Jason Westgate from our office, the code enforcement officer, reviewed the permit and called the owner to let them know more information on the sketch, and that a variance was likely required for the expansion based on our new zoning code. With more information provided, staff would then need to calculate the lot coverage to make sure that maximum 50% was not exceeded. And then Mr. Westgate also found that the driveway was completed, just to make sure, from our office, that we had documentation of that. So on August 16th, the property owner, Tracy Brownell, came into the office to submit a new sketch and obtain the variance application. She also paid the fee. I talked to her directly and explained the situation with more details as to why a variance was needed. The paving also appeared to go to the property line where a minimum 3-foot setback is required and expands past the garage. She expressed her surprise and disappointment that the contractor did not obtain the permit in a timely manner. She said they intended to do what they needed to make the situation right. She took the application home so she could fill it out in more detail. I also pointed out to her the zoning code information about the Zoning Board of Appeals and describing practical difficulties as required in the application. And then I told her the deadline was Monday, August 21st, and let her know the hours of the building. And then on August 21st, Mrs. Brownell dropped off the application that was completed. And also in your packet, I did attach the email with the picture, our lot coverage calculation, and then the applicable zoning code sections that apply that I just read into the record. We did not receive any letters or phone calls after sending the required notices to the adjoining property owners. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first-class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. Mrs. Brownell? State
you
your
doing?
name and address, please.
Michael Brownell, 516 McKinley Drive. Tracy Brownell, 516 McKinley Drive.
Okay.
Well, we've never done this before, so we,
I'm not a contractor. I'm a chef and restaurateur, so I don't know anything about building.
we assumed that the contractor did what he was supposed to do prior to the work being completed. We hired him. In our opinion, he wasn't a fly-by-night contractor. I think we all know who he is. Very, busy around the area, so we just assumed it was
One who
done.
should know the rules.
I'm sorry?
One who should know the
Correct,
rules.
one who
yes.
should know the rules, yes. And so it was a surprise to us when we
Yeah.
got the phone call.
We put our trust in them, being the professionals. They said, we'll submit the plans and we'll take care of everything. Then we waited a couple of months and
They showed
said,
up and
hey,
started the
we're
work.
going to start on Tuesday. Fantastic. Okay. It got done. Boy, this looks beautiful. And then the city comes and says, hey, you didn't have a permit. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. So we have to plead ignorance.
Which I know isn't a,
It's not
reason,
it's not a
but-
plea, but yeah, we put our trust in the contractor who said we've got everything taken care of. I have questions of possibly later on. Is there something in the code about who can submit the plans? Is there any thing that is signed by somebody who says, hey, I'm responsible for this and I will make sure that everything is taken care of?
The homeowner is the end result, is responsible.
So should
of
the
that.
homeowners then drop off the plans? Should we be the ones
You
who?
just need to make sure that the contractor has the submitted plans, then the
Okay.
city knows it, but you're ultimately responsible. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's,
why you're here.
that's the,
And we apologize. Again,
Yeah.
I've lived here since 2006. He's since whenever we got married. So, I mean, we would never do anything. That's the first time we've ever hired concrete work done. I've never done it before. I guess,
Yeah, we didn't see any issues in it since you saw some of the pictures. There was already gravel. There was already stone there.
it was just an ugly eyesore.
It just weeds grow up. Whenever I try to snow blow, I'm shooting rocks all over the neighborhood and hitting the neighbor's house or anybody walking by. I got to stop and make sure I don't shoot a rock at somebody. So it just seemed natural to us. Finally, let's save up and put the get concrete here. So grandkids come to visit in the wintertime, I can at least snow blow it off so they can get in there. So that's our story. Do you have any questions?
yeah, does any in the board have any questions?
I have two,
Sure.
Okay.
just more out of curiosity perhaps, but of interest to me. The first is, what is your intention for that apron that you put on? What
For the
are you
wall?
gonna? What is the intention for the apron that you paved? In other words, for the concrete that you laid down, what is the intention? Do you plan to park a vehicle on it?
Park a vehicle temporarily. There's only the two of us in the home, but when the grandkids come over, there could be 5 cars in our front yard. So if we can
And,
get
and
another,
appearance too. I just didn't
Yeah,
like the way it looked
it was-
prior.
it was an eyesore.
Okay, so it was all of that or?
It was
some of
all of that. Yeah, it's all inclusive. Let's get rid of the gravel. Let's get rid of there were bathroom tiles that were put in there by the previous
Yeah, I
owner
mean-
just to put it. It's nothing matched. Then weeds would grow up. So
I don't know if you have a picture, but I brought a few if you want to
Sure,
see
you
it.
want to pass it around?
Sure.
This is kind of what we were dealing with.
I mean, it was to us an eyesore for the neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood. Everybody takes care of their lawns and everything else. So we
That was
wanted
my-
to be the good neighbors and
That's in the
let's clean
category
this
of my
up.
second question then, sir, is this obviously is adjacent to your neighbor?
Yes.
Did you speak to that
Yes.
neighbor before you began the project?
Before, probably not.
No, but since when they got the notice,
notice.
they were like, "What's this?" We wanted to see if you could do the same thing to our
Yeah.
yard.
Everybody
It
walks
was-
by and is very
they
pleased with how it looks.
Yes, yeah, it just cleaned it up. It looks nicer, be easier to maintain.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any
I have
questions?
a couple questions. First of all, is that bad?
No. That's why I waited for you, Mark.
The Wood County Auditor's website shows that the owner of the property is a Tracy Kime.
That was my name before we got
Okay.
married.
We married,
Figured
yeah,
there
in
was a
2014. we-
Simple explanation of that. And to clarify, the sketch shows Northwestern Masonry, but it was
That's not
K
who
and
did
K?
it. Yeah, it's K and K.
Okay. And then you're indicating that you have a predicament because of the fact that the contractor didn't apply for a permit. And you may have gathered that sometimes we don't like when things get completed before.
Oh, I
I
understand.
And
understand.
but I also
That's-
know
yeah.
K and K, they've been around forever. They were doing work
Yeah.
in town when I was zoning inspector for the city back in the 1980s.
Right, so, yeah,
And they know the rules, I know
right.
that for
So,
sure.
I mean, I can't answer why they did it.
But you did talk to them about a permit before they started the work? That's what you kind of alluded to in
Yeah.
your.
That they, yeah, we'll take care of everything. Don't worry. We'll let you know when we can start.
Okay,
That was our conversation. And then when they said we can start, I just
yeah.
assumed they have everything.
I will say I didn't ask, do you have the permit? I didn't. I
don't doubt
just-
your word, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
And you are right, they've been around for a long time
Right.
and should know.
They were
Right.
very reputable.
They,
That's,
Yes.
they definitely know. And that, you know, the weeds and that sort of thing, you know, a little Roundup could have taken care of that. And I just don't, I'm not convinced that that was your predicament, you know, that would of itself warrant a variance. I do feel badly for you that the contractor didn't do what he was supposed to.
Right.
Your house is beautiful, well-maintained, it's very attractive.
Thank you.
And I commend you on that, but those are just a couple of the concerns that I have about it. So.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Just wish a permit was made.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon?
Just wish a permit was filed. I'm getting kind of upset.
that would
of-
make 3.
Yeah, I mean, trust me.
Not just you, we've
Yeah.
passed 3-4 meetings. It's been, oh, I didn't know.
Heather, did you want to say something?
Yes, for the record, we have had particular issues with this contractor. And we have, I'm looking for the right word here. We have talked to our legal counsel about that, just to make them aware, because, you know, getting permits after, not until you've been caught by the city, is becoming more of an issue. So just wanted to let you know that in all fairness.
So this isn't an isolated incident
No.
with the
With this
contractor?
contractor, that's really disappointing.
Trust me, I don't think we'll use them again.
I would
Think
advise
not.
that, it might be a smart decision.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anyone in the audience care to address this? You may sit down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and gentlemen, talk among yourselves, talk among us. Any questions, comments, suggestions?
My opinion was greatly swayed by the fact that the city's having trouble with the contractor. I'm sorry that you had to come here because of that.
I mean, the unfortunate is that the contractors that do the work around town do know it, and there needs to be the ability on the city's part to find them or put them on notice for actions of this. And I'm sure it's not just this isolated contractor. There's multiples that
Yeah.
actually do that.
I would agree with you, Dave.
And I think that is one of the things that bothers us as a board, that we are faced with having to deal with people that are victims of situations that are out of their control necessarily. And they are perpetuated repeatedly by those who should know better and do not.
And the really sad part is you used a local contractor that's been around for a long time that should know that.
Yeah, and that's how.
I mean, I would figure that they would know that also, so that's, if it was some guy that was running up and down the street you hired, I would understand it better, but, okay, anything else? Okay, we're coming back into the public hearing. Have any other questions or comments? All right, may I have a motion, please?
I will so move to accept.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there a discussion?
Who's second?
Rod? Okay, will the secretary call the roll, please?
Rod Noble,
Yes.
Chris Ostrowski,
Yes.
David Flager,
Yes.
Jay Stockman, no. Judy Annis,
Yes.
Hobby Johnson,
Yes.
Your request for your variance was granted. I would suggest that you have a conversation with your contractor, because otherwise, if he'd have done what was right, you would not be here now. But the ultimate responsibility does sit with the homeowner. So if you have any friends that are starting anything on the street, you might want to warn them.
Yes, we
Okay.
that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Especially if they were billed for pulling the contract.
Yes. Yes.
Insult to injury.
Right.
Okay, is the next order of business is lobby visitation. Would anybody here like to visit with us? We have the president of city council sitting there. Would he like to visit with us?
You're doing a fine job.
And so are you, Mark.
Madam Chair, I would like to put in the record, though, I think a need that I would like to have council look at, just to see whether or not there is something that we could do as a city to eliminate this. We have new zoning now, and I don't feel comfortable hacking up the new zoning for issues that present themselves innocently to homeowners, but dramatically possibly to the city zoning. So if I could ask for council to study the possibility of looking into what kind of legislation they could create to address contractors and developers who do not follow the guidelines of the city.
It seems to me that there could be a list that could be maintained.
Or such as fining.
Sir, would you like to state your name and address, please?
My name is Mark Hollenbaugh. I live at 315 Parkview Drive, lot number 92. That conversation started during this meeting, so I can assure you we will be looking into it.
I
See,
understand.
there was a reason you came
I
to.
just thought
That's
I
why
would
I'm here.
make it official by making that statement.
Yes,
sir.
we couldn't agree more with that, because
Yeah.
it's a shame that the homeowners have to suffer on something like that.
It is.
When they have gone with a legitimate Bowling Green contractor,
Right.
you would expect that it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, and it happens a lot.
It does.
When I moved in where I am now, there had been a carport that was built that was there when I moved in that there had not been a permit drawn for. And I got cited for it, and I had to go back and do the permitting process and everything, even though it was already there when I
And we're
moved
glad you
in,
went back
so-
and did the permitting process. It'd be
It's
kind of
'cause I didn't
embarrassing
want
to.
I didn't want the mean zoning board of appeals
would be
to
kind of
tell me I
embarrassing,
had to
Mark.
tear my carport down.
Yes,
So,
we would come out there with our hammer and just take it right down on you.
all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or suggestions? Anything?
I'd like to commend everybody, as Judy did, about the work on the zoning code. Nice job, especially city council. I know you went through a lot. And Heather, thanks for that updated application, and that's great. And I would encourage you to enforce the scale drawings, and it'd be nice to have a north arrow too.
And to the 19 people that originally started this, hallelujah, guys, we made it.
In the code, we talked about there were seven items in there that we should consider. I did a little checklist just for myself, and I thought I'd share it with you. If it would help you, please feel free to
thank you.
copy it and use it.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I wanted to remind you all too that there's a zoning code training
Right.
by ZoneCo, the company who helped author the code, next Thursday already, September 21st at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in this room. I will be following up with an email reminder also.
Thank you.
Will that be on Zoom, because I'm actually gonna be out of town? So that I can record it, so I can watch it later?
We likely will record it.
Okay, good, thank you.
Heather, do you have any other reports for us?
I do not, unless you have questions.
Okay, hearing none and seeing none, I want to thank you all for spending part of your evening with us, and have a good evening. And yes, you,
Now, did they give you this?
no, yes, I have to ask for this. If you don't have one of these, it's also online. You might want to take one, and everybody that, every citizen should have one of these.
Paper copy.
I would highly recommend that. It's online too, if you don't want
Yeah. No, I
paper
want a
for it.
copy.
Okay,
All right,
all right, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All right, thank you very much, and vote with your feet, guys. Thank you. And